Happy opening day, baseball way of lifers. How we all doing? Uh, yes, baseball is here. Happy opening day. And who would have thought we'd be starting opening day on time with a full 162 game schedule? Certainly not I, but miracles do happen. And I think that's a sign this is going to be one hell of a year. Where do we start? First of all, we're playing the full 162 games. That to me makes this season very, very special. We're back to the norm as far as baseball is concerned. I know there's going to be glitches in the system as far as COVID and everything, but 162 is the way the game is meant to be played, and I'm all for it. Now, the only sticking point so far is the DH situation. National League has not adopted DH. The American League is going to have the DH this year, so we're going to have that imbalance as in years prior. I just wish baseball would make up its mind one way or the other. Are we going to DH or are we not going to DH? And I hope this just isn't a negotiating ploy. It looks like this is going to be a one and done for the National League. So I really thought for sure they'd use common sense and just say, okay, we're adopting universal DH this year. But it looks like that's not going to be the case. And sometimes baseball is a little bit behind reality and what the public wants and what the public needs and what baseball wants and what baseball needs. But it's always been a game. It's going to be that way since it's been that way since even before Marvin Miller. So uh, the only thing that concerns me about that is if this is going to be a negotiating ploy, is that going to affect the offseason? Is it going to be one big quagmire again when it comes to negotiations? Let's not have that step in our way of a beautiful season ahead of us. Definitely going to be different norms. But still, today is opening day. I remember when opening day used to be on Monday. I never really did like that because the Wednesday and Thursday games afterwards were always very poorly attended. I do like Thursday being the traditional opening day celebration, just due to the fact that you have Friday for most of these games, the day off following opening day on Thursday. If there's bad weather, you can play it on Friday. Then you come right back with weekend games, so fans can go attend those games. I know that's not necessarily going to be the case this year with limited attendance, but I just like the first series of every opening year, opening season series should be on the weekend. Uh, and I'm kind of glad they're keeping the old format with 3 divisional winners, 2 playoff wildcard teams. At first, I was kind of hoping for an 18 playoff scenario in both leagues, but the more I think about it, you got to give more validity to the regular season. And 3 division championships and 2 wilds is enough. When you have teams that, and nothing against the Miami Marlins last year, the Houston Astros, but when you finish below 500 and have a chance of winning the World Series, it just isn't right. Now, I know teams like the Cardinals in 2006 won only 82 games. The Mets in 73 won 83 and made it to the World Series. But I doubt statistically you can really go below that. Someone's going to have to run all these analysis for me. But I think you still have to be at least a 500 team to get into the World Series, no matter how bad the circumstances are. And I kind of like that about baseball. And the one thing I do like about this whole scenario is opening day today is a sense of normalcy. I know things haven't been normal the past year, and people may be taking the virus a little bit lightly, but I think if we're all steadfast in combating this and having normalcy to our lives and see what can be done if we have normalcy to our lives, then I'm all for it. And I think the anticipation for this year is going to be off the charts. I think this is going to be the first major league sport that's going back to their full season with the full start. And that's going to be good. I know football canceled a lot of games and moved them to Tuesday night, Wednesday night, or whatever, and I hope that doesn't happen with baseball. I hope they're able to put a good product out there. The taxi squads are deep enough. I think it can be pulled off. It's definitely exciting. No one really knew what to expect coming into this off season, and but give the players credit. They went at spring training like it was a regular spring training, expecting to play 162 games, and that was pretty good. That was pretty good. And there was a demand for some of these tickets in the spring training games, believe it or not. I heard rumors of or I'm not sure if they're rumors or if they were facts, but I read they were even scalping tickets up to like a $200 for some of these games in Arizona. So the demand is there. I know limited capacity. It's going to be tough getting the tickets. Some people aren't going to be able to go to the games, but we're right around the corner. And the other good thing is a lot of these teams are getting mass vaccinations now. I know the Astros and the Cardinals just did that. They're not mandatory, but if 85% of the team's players and staff get the shots, those safety and health protocols that are in place now will be removed. So players will have normalcy and be able to dine together, have their families join them on the road, and go back to playing cards and video games and everything else they did in the clubhouses. So it will be like a team atmosphere and not just solitary confinement this whole time. I know the whole vaccine issue is a big thing. You know, a lot of people don't want to get it. I personally am not a fan of vaccines, but even I got the vaccine. So hopefully, if 85% of the players get it, those teams will be able to proceed as usual. And because we don't want to have a situation like with the Cardinals last year where they were shut down for 19 days, 10 players and 8 staff members positive. And then we had the Marlins had over 20 people, I believe, at one time sidelined with COVID-19, and somehow they still made the playoffs. That's a tribute to what the Marlins did last year. And now we just found out that the Nationals have 5 players, or some of their players, tested positive for COVID-19. I think it was 5 altogether. So they need to be quarantined because of contact tracing, and they won't be ready for opening night. So that may pop up more often than not, but I still say go forward. The only thing that's going to be weird a bit about this year, I think, is the fact that a lot of these players didn't play the full 162 last year. That includes pitchers. And will they be ready to go? I know they're going to be very, very careful. Teams are on as to limiting the pitches that pitchers can throw this year, the number of pitches. And also rookies, how are they going to adapt? Because they really didn't get to play last year. But I think once you get into the regimen, I don't think you miss a beat. If you're talented enough, you'll be able to do that. So I hope rookies fall right into place like they normally do. The other good thing is I know baseball did all they could last year with the cardboard cutouts and making it sound like it was. And from a fan perspective, it didn't seem that bad watching on TV, but I'm sure for ball players, it must have been a little bit eerie playing in front of basically an empty stadium with cutouts. There's something about the human element about baseball. And believe it or not, there is somewhat of a home field advantage when the fans are in the stands. So it's going to be good to have people in the ballpark yelling and cheering as always. So I think as the season goes on, more and more fans will be able to get into the ballpark. And the good thing is from April through October, baseball is going to be a daily ritual in our life. And boy, do we need it now more than ever, especially us baseball junkies. So I'm looking forward to a great year. Some of my predictions, I'm a big Met fan, so I'm rooting for them, and I always think they'll win the World Series. But if I had to bet my life on it, I got to go with the chalk, the Dodgers and the Yankees. I just think they're the 2 superior teams in their league. I think the Dodgers are by far and away one of the strongest teams I've ever seen coming into a season. With that pitching and everyday lineup, their pitching rotation, they don't even have David Price or Gonsolin in the rotation. But the 5 starters they do have, each one of them is capable of winning the Cy Young Award this year. So just on pitching alone, they'd probably be a 90-win team. They could have one of the worst hitting teams ever, but they don't with Bellinger and Betts and Seager and Turner. I can't see the Dodgers not winning 100 games. And like I said, anything can happen in the postseason, but I think this is the Dodgers' year. I would like to see Mike Trout get into the playoffs and the Angels, and that's possible in that division. Looks like a 3-team race out there. I do think the White Sox, even with Eloy Jimenez out, I think they're the pride and joy of the AL Central. and I think they'll beat the Twins, but I do think the Twins will make the playoffs. Twins are a solid team, and this would be, I think, their fourth year headed for the playoffs if they do make it. And I think the Yankees are the cream of the crop of the American League. It won't even be close there. I mean, Tampa Bay knows how to play fundamental baseball. They always win, but you match them up talent-wise, sooner or later, talent's going to win. And the same with the Blue Jays. Blue Jays have a lot of young talent out there, and they're going to be good for many years to come. But I think this year will be a stepping stone. Either one of those two ball clubs could make the playoffs, but I think this is the Yankees' year. And the only team I could possibly see if in a 7-game ALCS championship series beating the Yankees is the White Sox, but we shall see what happens there. MVPs, you always got to go with, I always like to look at teams that are going to be the most improved and the ones that are actually going to make a big difference for a team that does make the playoffs. Dodgers is going to be so stacked, they're going to negate each other's votes. If the Cardinals win, Nolan Arenado could be the difference maker. We'll see how he adapts to playing in St. Louis. In the East, with the Braves, it's got to be Ronald Acuna Jr. And if you're going to pick a Mets candidate, it's got to be Francisco Lindor, because the Mets, don't forget, they finished under 500 last year despite the talent they had, and he could be the missing piece. So my three candidates are Francisco Lindor, Ronald Acuna Jr., and of course the sexy favorite's going to be Fernando Tatis. But for some reason, I think Manny Machado may even have a better year than him. So sue me if I'm wrong. And Nolan Arenado. But I'm going to go off the charts and say Nolan Arenado as the MVP in the National League this year. I think the baseball world's going to see what a great player he is. St. Louis gets a little bit more media attention and national coverage. So I'm going with Nolan this year. In the American League, I'm going, I like to pick from the contenders. From the Yankees, I think a healthy Aaron Judge would definitely put them way over the top. In the American League, the sexy pick for me would be Jose Abreu again. But I'm going to go with Luis Robert just blossoming as one of my candidates there. And, of course, Mike Trout. Now, if the Angels do make the playoffs, we know Mike Trout is going to be one of the candidates, and reasons why for MVP. And Shohei Ohtani is an outlier. If he can perform the way he's been in spring training as a pitcher and an outfielder, I got to go with Shohei. So, but I'm going to go out and pick Mike Trout. Now, for Cy Young Award, I'm going to go with the chalk here, the two New York boys, Jacob deGrom and Gerrit Cole. I just think they're head and shoulders above everybody else. All they have to do is stay healthy, and they'll bring home the bacon. So my divisional picks are going to be, are you ready, folks? In the National League East, I'm going with the Atlanta Braves. Mets is the wild card. The Central, I'm going with St. Louis Cardinals. The West, the Dodgers, and San Diego. Now, I don't know how they're all going to match up, so I'm just going to say the National League champion is going to be Los Angeles. The American League, I'm picking the Yankees in the East. I'm picking the White Sox in the Central with the Twins as the wild card. And I'm going to pick, believe it or not, the Oakland A's. For some reason, they keep doing it year in and year out. And I'm going to pick the Angels as the wild card. And for the American League champions, I'm going to pick the New York Yankees. So it looks like the Yankees-Dodgers World Series. And I am going to go out and pick the Dodgers in 6 in the World Series. So why even bother watching games? I just told you what's going to happen. But I hope you do. I hope you'll watch them every day like I hopefully can. Things always pop up, but my eyeballs be falling out of my sockets by the time the World Series comes around. So I hope you enjoy the season, and it's fun to say it's opening day. If you enjoy this podcast, please hit like, please subscribe. Remember, this is a Facebook. There's a Facebook group, Baseball Way of Life, and this complements that group. So if you're not a member, please join. And remember, today we can say this and say it with conviction. Play ball, and adios for now.